Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 513 Sports Attack.
I'm Nick, and with me, as always, my partner in crime, Corey.
What's going on?
Not much, man. Actually, kind of a lot, though. Not a lot, but kind of a lot at the same time. Uh,
What's up?
so what's up, man? Is the XFL? That's what's up right now. The rule. I don't know if any of you guys have seen the rules. As Corey, you said you did earlier as well, but man, what the new rules that the XFL has is they're really awesome. I really like the whole you get a 1 point conversion, 2 point or 3 point conversion after a touchdown. So you either start at the 1, 2, or 3 yard line, and if you make it, in the end zone from the 3 yard line, you get 3 points. 2 points from the 2 and 1 point from the 1. That's pretty cool. It just adds a new dynamic to the game. Really kind of changes your coaching strategy up a little bit. Also, from what they were saying, is it's gonna help not have so many ties. So not a lot of games to go to overtime. So they're trying to avoid overtime. But I don't know why you would with their overtime rules. One play from the 5 yard line, and they go until there's a winner.
It's great. It's really awesome. I was looking up the rules like I was telling you earlier. The other thing I like is there's a much faster play clock. 25 seconds for each play. Get moving, get what you need done, and get the play called, and here we go.
Oh, definitely. And another thing that I like as well is how they do punts and kickoffs, where nobody can move outside of the kicker and the returner until the ball is caught. So, all the blockers, your gunners, everybody else, everybody has to stand still until the ball is caught, and then they can go chase after them. They said it's going to hopefully increase kickoff returns, and longer kickoffs returns as well. So they're trying to really emphasize the special teams there, which I kind of think is pretty cool too. Again, adds a new dynamic to the entire game.
It really does. It brings something. Maybe not it's definitely not the NFL, but it brings something a little extra for those who are looking for football out after the Super Bowl. Pretty much, another thing that I really like is that they've implemented is during the 2-minute warning, no matter what, even if the ball is stopped in play, the clock stops until the ball is set, and 5 seconds run off the play clock. So it's called the comeback period. So they're trying to see if teams can actually make comebacks inside of 2 minutes to try to make the game more interesting.
So kind of like college, if you will. If you get a first down, the clock stops until the chains and ball are set, and then you can start running your play. That's actually pretty cool. Definitely, add just like all these rules just are adding new dynamics to football, into the game, and how it's going to be coached, and actually ultimately how it's going to be played, as well. So speaking of football, we like to talk a lot about it a lot.
It's just that time of the year.
It's just that time of the year. So let's just dive right into our review of Wild Card Weekend. Man, what a weekend that was. Tom Brady and the Patriots lose. You saw the Vikings upset the Saints.
Two storied quarterbacks, Hall of Fame quarterbacks go down. I think the more shocking to me was Tom Brady. As, they're at home. You don't expect them to lose in Foxborough.
Oh, never.
But it just shows you got to stop the run. And if you can't stop the run, what ends up happening? Derrick Henry runs for over 160 yards on your defense, and you lose. That can't happen. I think, but that kind of motivates them, and I think they'll be back in this situation. They obviously have to re-sign Tom Brady, but I do think the Patriots was the more shocking. But, the Titans were everyone slept on them all year. So
the Titans are a solid football club.
Very solid.
They're definitely a solid club. They got a good structure there. I think having Ryan Tannehill take over for Mariota really propelled him into the playoffs. He does make NFL throws that Mariota wasn't able to make. And I think that really did open up their offense to get Derrick Henry going. So that they're a great football team. But speaking about the Patriots, I think the issue though was not having that threat of a tight end pass catcher. We saw every outside of this year, with Gronk. What did the Patriots do when they were in trouble and they needed to drive down the field?
Gronk.
In the red zone, they would just put him up, and Brady would throw it up, and Gronk was a monster of a man and just went up and grabbed. So I mean, losing that aspect out of your offense definitely killed them a lot this year, and you saw it down the stretch.
Offensive line play also hurt them a lot this year as well.
Correct.
So, I think that was just kind of the shocker.
Definitely
obviously
the shock.
Not in the NFC. Obviously seeing the Vikings win. The Vikings a very solid team. I love Mike Zimmer. They play good defense, hard-nosed football. The Vikings are for real. The Vikings are there. Do I think they're going to make it out of the NFC? Probably not. But you never know. That team is a feisty bunch of group of guys, and they're ready to play.
Yeah, we were both wrong, though, on the Vikings. I know we both took the Saints out of that game, and what really surprised me, and I'll admit I was wrong, Kirk Cousins, he balled out in that game. I mean, he had a phenomenal game, obviously, behind Dalvin Cook's running attack, but...
Big-time throws when he needed to.
Yep, exactly. He made those big-time throws when he needed to. Kind of almost, if you will, silence the haters on him a little bit. Not winning on Monday nights and in those big games. Prove that he can win in those big games now. But going forward for the Vikings, I really think their season relies on Kirk Cousins' shoulders. How well does he play? If you get the Kirk Cousins you got against the Saints, against the 49ers, maybe you pull off that win. But that was definitely wrong about Kirk Cousins.
And again, the other games, the Texans, Deshaun Watson leading a comeback. I don't think that was surprising to you or I. I think we both thought the Texans were the better team.
They definitely were.
And the Seahawks, I thought they were probably better than the Eagles anyway. Closer game than I think we both kind of thought, but it was a good game. Now
the Eagles did come to play though at home.
Absolutely.
Going to Philadelphia is no easy task.
Yeah. Absolutely not. And you know what it kind of set up is it's really set up some really, really great matchups for this upcoming weekend for the divisional round. On Saturday, you have the 49ers hosting the Vikings. Good matchup there. Defensive battle.
Yeah.
I think the 49ers are probably the better team. But, again, the Vikings have a veteran quarterback. Jimmy Garoppolo has never really been in this spot.
Well, not as a starter.
Right.
Not as a starter. He's been there, but not as a starter.
Correct. So we'll kind of have to see. Again, I think the 49ers play calling comes into this. The way they use Deebo Samuel and some of their other weapons is really unbelievable. Obviously, they have the phenomenal George Kittle, who's just a monster. And,
in that committee of running backs, it just seems...
It works.
Yeah, you never know whose night it's going to be. And it always seems, once they realize whose night it's going to be, who has a hot hand, if you will, they just feed them the ball, and it works. And then the other guys come in, for the break opportunities. But, man, that three-back committee they have out there in San Francisco is just phenomenal. I don't think we've really seen this outside of the Patriots. And they're really kind of modeling that kind of after the Patriots. Play great defense, have a committee of have committee running backs, and have 2 or 3 solid passing options for your quarterback. That's the formula I see. That's what I've seen out of the Patriots my entire life so far.
So in this game, who do you like?
I got to take the 49ers at home. I really do. Jimmy G with Emmanuel Sanders now out there, Debo Samuel, George Kittle. Like I was just talking about, their committee of running backs. Uh, the boss, Richard Sherman. I mean, he's a boss at corner. He is the definition of what it means to be a lockdown corner in the league. Uh, to me, he's just a boss. They have a great pass rush. I know I point out Ohio State players, but I mean it's hard not to when he's up for Rookie of the Year, Nick Bosa. He's had a phenomenal rookie season. But I mean, just their entire defense plays as a unit. They move as a unit. Their line moves as a unit. Those linebackers move as a unit, and so do your defensive back. So when it's all said and done, I think San Francisco is going to be moving on to the NFC Championship.
All right, and the nightcapper of the evening, we have the Baltimore Ravens versus the Tennessee Titans. Obviously, I think this was the nightcapper, expecting it to be Tom Brady trying to take down Lamar Jackson. But in this case, we've got the 1 versus the 6, Ravens or Titans. What intrigues you the most about this game?
The play of Ryan Tannehill, to be honest, in that rushing attack that the Titans have. Now, not taking anything away from Lamar Jackson, but eventually that style of play does not translate well into playoffs. We've seen it out of Michael Vick in the past. We've seen it, time and time again out of these so-called, quote-unquote dual threat quarterbacks. By this point in the season, coaches realize how you stop a player like that. Mike Vrabel knows he's a defensive guy. He's going to know how to not stop him, but slow Lamar Jackson down. And one way you do that is you run the football and limit the Ravens' possessions. So I really think what intrigues me most is if Tennessee can establish the run early, get Derrick Henry rolling, limit Baltimore's possessions on offense, keep Lamar Jackson on the sidelines, I think they really could pull the upset that nobody sees here. But that also depends on when Ryan Tannehill has to drop back to pass, Corey, is he going to throw? Is he going to turn the ball over?
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. For Tennessee to win this game, Tannehill has to be the better quarterback.
Tall task to ask a guy going up against the MVP on the other side of the field.
Absolutely. And again, in this game, I'm going to take Baltimore. Baltimore's defense has been very solid all year. I think they're going to find a way to stop Derrick Henry and be able to stop Tennessee. I like the Ravens. Again, I agree with you. I don't think Lamar Jackson is, again, going to – it doesn't work in the playoffs. Teams zone in and are going to play a spy and are going to try to stop you. Now, obviously, he can still throw the football. So, obviously, young quarterback, not as experienced. This could definitely go the distance, could be an upset, but I like the Ravens.
Yeah, and I can't disagree with anything you're saying as well. I just think that Tennessee will, Mike Vrabel being a defensive guy, knowing how to, slow that down. I just think that gives him a little bit of an edge. But on the other side of the field, you have a Super Bowl winning coach as well. I mean, this matchup is just going to be a great matchup. I think it's probably going to be the best game of the day, if you ask me, on Saturday. But moving on to Sunday, the day game is you're looking at Houston at Kansas City. What intrigues you most about this matchup, Core?
2 star-studded quarterbacks, Deshaun Watson versus Patrick Mahomes. Great receiving matchups. I think this game probably will be the most fun to watch because I think this game is high scoring. I don't think either defense is going to stop either team. I hope Deshaun Watson and that Texan offense comes to play for 4 quarters instead of just the fourth quarter. But this is the most intriguing game for me because of the quarterbacks, the high offense, the receivers. The running backs it's kind of by committee, a little bit by committee for both teams, but defensively it's kind of whose defense is better, and whoever defense makes that one play for their team, that's who will win this game.
I definitely agree with you there. What intrigues me most, though, what actually not even what intrigues me, it's what I think the key to victory for Houston is on Sunday. Is the key to them is getting Duke Johnson involved in the passing game early, making him a threat, putting him in some favorable matchups for your team, because you know what DeAndre Hopkins is going to give you on Sunday. You know what he's going to do. You know what Deshaun Watson's going to give you. But I think that's really the key there, because without Fuller on the field, man, they need that other passing down. And I've watched Duke Johnson play when he was in Cleveland. The kid is fast. He has great hands, sees the field very well. He's just a playmaker. You know, you give him the ball, he can make a play. So I think that's the key for Houston. Now, on the other side, the key for Kansas City is to just play not to lose. You know, that's a term, you know, we use a lot in football. You see defenses or teams, after they get up at a certain point, they're just playing not to lose the game anymore, just trying to hold them off until the clock's at 0. So I think that's the really key for Kansas City, is just playing not to lose. Go out there, hit the Texans in the mouth, give them a good punch, and see how they react. Because just remember, you guys were in the AFC Championship game last year at home
and lost.
Yeah, and lost. So I mean, this is your real redemption game, because you're not going to play at home this year if you make it, unless Baltimore loses. So those are my two key things for both teams.
So who you taking in this game?
I really think it boils down to who you trust more at quarterback, and which connection you trust more. I have to go with. I got to go with Deshaun Watson and DeAndre Hopkins. I got to go with the Texans. I just think their defense is just that sliver bit better than the Chiefs' defense. So, as well. So, but I got to go with them.
And I'm gonna respectfully disagree with you. I think the Chiefs at home are going to take care of business. Again, I think Houston's defense can be a little bit better. The problem I have with Houston's defense is their secondary. Some of their secondary is a little older. Patrick Mahomes will expose that. They have maybe the fastest player in the league in Tyreek Hill. Maybe he might not even be the fastest person on his team, because they have Mecole Hardman as well. So that speed alone, I think, is going to give the Chiefs the edge. Again, I think there's an X factor on defense for the Chiefs. You know, early, the last 10 years, you had Eric Berry back there for a long time. Now you have the Honey Badger, Tyrann Mathieu, back there, and I think he's kind of that X factor making plays back there for that defense, and I'm going to take the Chiefs to win this game.
Yeah, I can't disagree. I agree, but disagree, Moving. So the next game, our nightcap on Sunday, is Seattle at Green Bay. This is, again, for if you're looking day-to-day, Saturday versus Sunday, Green Bay, Seattle is a game to watch on Sunday. That's going to be the best matchup of the day, to be honest. That's going to be the best game, unless you like high-scoring, octane offenses that when there's no defense played, then the best game for you is going to be the Chiefs-Texans. But, man, this Green Bay-Seattle matchup is just Russell Wilson, probably future Hall of Famer, and a first-ballot Hall of Famer in Aaron Rodgers. In my opinion, he's a first ballot. Going head-to-head in Lambeau. The stadium that is just an icon of all of football. It's like the Big House, the Shoe, the Swamp. Going to Tuscaloosa, going to Auburn, Georgia. Those stadiums, it's just iconic like that. And to me, seeing these two QBs going at it in the playoffs is going to be something special. I don't know about you, Corey, but I just think it's going to be something special on Sunday night to watch.
Again, I can't disagree with you anymore. It's going to be a fun matchup to watch. I think there is a distinct definition of who the better team is. Seattle, I coming into the year, I said I really like the Seahawks. I really do. But I think we've kind of talked about it. I think this is Aaron Rodgers' year. This is the year for Aaron Rodgers. Brady is out. Breeze is out. There's never been a bigger time. Now,
this is the only quarterback left in the playoffs who has played in the Super Bowl is Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers. Those are the only two quarterbacks left in the playoffs who've played in the Super Bowl or started in the Super Bowl. I mean, Jimmy G was there, but yeah, I know, man. Green Bay, we're high on them.
yeah, it's again in this matchup, it's who do you trust more? Do you trust Russell Wilson and his receivers, Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf? Do you trust Aaron Rodgers' receivers, Devontae Adams, Valdez Scantling? You know, it's kind of who do you trust? I think on offense there is one X factor, and I think it's kind of been an underlying thing that we're kind of overlooking. Don't forget who Green Bay's tight end is. Number 80, Jimmy Graham, who played for the Seahawks. I think there is nothing more that Aaron Rodgers would love to do than to beat the Seahawks using Jimmy Graham. So I'm going to take Green Bay to win this game. Aaron Rodgers is time to shine, to go to the conference championship. And I think Green Bay. Go, Pack, go.
Yeah, I'm going to pick. So my keys to victory for Seattle is, I'm not going to go right off who I'm going to start with. Keys to victory right here, right? For Seattle, your keys to victory is getting Chris Carson going on the run game. You have to be able to run the ball, especially in Lambeau. You don't know what type of weather you're going to face. It could be 35 degrees, sunny all day long until 5 p.m. and then it drops below and you're in a blizzard. That's how quickly the weather changes here up north if you're listening to us in the south. So you never know what type of weather you're about to get into. So your key to victory for Seattle is starting the run game. Your key for Green Bay and is not on offense, is really your key to victory is how well is your offensive line going to play? Are they going to give Rodgers time to find his weapons? That's been Achilles' heel of his. He hasn't really had a lot of time, had to do some scrambling. So how does the offensive line handle Jadeveon Clowney? One of the best elite pass rushers this league has seen. How well do they handle him? But I'm going to go with Green Bay. I think the other key to offense for them is not getting Devontae Adams involved, because you know what he's going to give you. You know what Rodgers is going to do with his arm. You know what Jimmy Graham's going to give you as well. If you target him, he's going to catch the ball, going to get you, fight for extra yards. But the real key on offense is also how well the offensive line plays, but also getting my fantasy boy, Aaron Jones involved. Not only in the run game, but getting him involved in the passing game as well. Spreading him out, force a linebacker to cover him. He will beat them every time. And not only that, he can catch the ball. So those are my keys for Green Bay. I got to go with Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers said at the beginning of the year, holy cow, I finally have a defense. So that's pretty scary when arguably, as some would say, he is the GOAT. That right there, I mean, those are big words coming from him. So I'm going to ride out with Aaron Rodgers. Go, Pack, go. All right, Core. You want to lead us in this one? It's kind of a sore subject for me.
Yeah, I'll take the reins on this one here.
Take it over.
So Monday, after this weekend, we've got the national championship game. Obviously, a little sore wound for you, I understand. Obviously, we have number 3 Clemson playing number 1 LSU. This game is very intriguing, could be very high scoring. A lot of things could happen here. You've got a lot of something has to budge here. Is LSU going to go 15-0? Is Joe Burrows going to become the all-time touchdown leader, passing touchdown thrown in the season? Or is Trevor Lawrence going to stay undefeated? Is Clemson going to go back-to-back, 30-0 in 30 straight games? Something's got to give here. It's the most intriguing, I think. Again, we talk about offense. This is offense. This is an offensive juggernaut game. What quarterback is going to perform? It's the battle of number one picks. You've got Joe Burrows, who's pretty much been locked up to go to Cincinnati for the number one pick. And you've got Trevor Lawrence, who I think we both agree is going to go number one next year in the NFL draft, or will be the first quarterback taken in the NFL draft next year if he decides to go pro. It's SEC versus ACC. We've criticized the ACC for not being good. Well, Clemson's here again. And I think, this game is obviously more intriguing.
Hold on a second. I just want to go off that last comment there, Corey. The ACC isn't good as a conference. Just because one team dominates that conference does not mean that that conference as a whole is good. That is completely separate. Yes, Clemson is they are a great football program themselves. However, though, what the other teams in their conference, nobody else in their conference won 10 games. That's all I'm going to say.
I get it absolutely. Now, is it which receiving corp shows up better? This game could be over 100 points scored combined. It could be. Personally, I don't think so. I think it's going to be a scoring fest, but 100 points is a lot. I think this game comes down to who has the ball in their hands last. Does Joe Burrows get the chance, or does Trevor Lawrence get the chance? All year, Nick, I've told you I thought they were the best team because they have the best player in college football, in my opinion. I've said that from the first kickoff. I said I think they're the best team in college football, and until you beat them, they're the best team in college football. In this game, I'm going to take the underdog. I'm going to take Clemson. I'm going to stick with them. I've stuck with them all year. I'm going to take Clemson. Close, but I think at the end of the day, the one thing that we're all forgetting is Will Venable is still the defensive coordinator at Clemson. And when it matters most, he dials something up to make a play. And his defense will make a play for him. And I think if that's what will happen, I'm going to take the Tigers. The Clemson Tigers.
I got to respectfully disagree. Trevor Lawrence is not the best player in college football. They have a great team. They haven't been the best team in college football all year. You don't struggle against UNC, who went, I think, like 8-4 this year, if you're the best team in college football. I got LSU has literally dominated every opponent they faced. They've had a couple close games, but they've dominated. Joe Burrows, as we were watching that playoff game, you said it the best. You said, what does Joe Burrows do better than any quarterback in college football right now? He is not afraid to dump it off to his running back if his first two reads downfield aren't there. He understands the game at an elite level. My key, though, for LSU to win this football game is Joe Burrows has to do what it's so hard to do when you're the Heisman winner. You have to go out there and say, I'm the Heisman because of these guys around me. And I think he has that mentality. He can't go out there if they, face adversity and say, well, I'm the Heisman quarterback. I'm going to bring us back myself. Because then that's when you make mistakes. He's played phenomenal all year. I just got to go with Joe Burrows and LSU, the LSU Tigers. Another reason why I got to go with them, they are playing this game 20 minutes down the road. Uh, they've lost one national title game in the past 20 years in LSU or in New Orleans. Oh, and who was that against? Oh, a team that they beat previously that year, Alabama. And all that proved to me was Alabama could beat them a second time around. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I got to go with LSU. They're literally playing in their backyard. It's just really not fair. If you ask me, it's not fair to play your national title game 20 minutes away from your stadium. You don't even travel. You hop on a bus basically before game time. So I just got to go with LSU there. Before we give our shout outs here, we're just going to go over a little bit of what's coming up here, this weekend in sports. We got a lot of NBA action going on. Corey, why don't you kick us off here with the NBA?
All right. So, obviously, with the NBA in full swing here, this weekend you've got pretty much every team playing. Any big matchups that I've got my eye on. Obviously, we've kind of seen some of the marquee matchups of the year that we've really been looking for, but some interesting ones to look at. We've got the Heat, who have been surprising some teams playing at the Brooklyn Nets. That will be on Friday at 7:30 p.m. You've also got the Hornets versus the Jazz. Also tomorrow night on Friday night, 9:45 p.m. You've got the Lakers versus the Mavericks.
Is that in Dallas?
It is in the American Airlines Center in Dallas, Texas.
Oh, that's awesome. That's going to be a great matchup. I love that matchup. I love watching Dragic. He's so good. That's such a young age. They're saying he could be a LeBron-type player. That guy in the league once, these guys that we've watched for so long start leaving. He's just but not only that, he's just entertaining to watch, and he's a good guy.
And then I think the matchup that everyone was originally looking forward to Friday night, you also have the Warriors versus the Clippers, which obviously is not the matchup that we really thought it would. Moving on to Saturday you have the Lakers playing back-to-back, and they've got the Thunder, so LeBron's good friend Chris Paul playing against each other there. And then you also have the Mavericks playing the 76ers at home as well. So that should be a good one to keep an eye out for as well. And then obviously as the NBA normally likes to do nowadays, since the NFL is winding down, Sunday you kind of have some solid games here with the Spurs versus the Raptors, the Warriors versus the Grizzlies, if you like that. And then you've also got my intriguing matchup, I think, of the weekend is the Nuggets versus the Clippers on Sunday night. That's a battle of two really good West teams. You've got the Nuggets, who are 26-11, and the Clippers, who are 26-12, going at it.
Yeah, and you know what that's going to tell you a lot, especially this early in the season, where you stand in playoff contention. There's a lot of talk right now that it's the Lakers, Clippers, going to the conference finals. So for, if you're Denver, this really tells you where you stand in that. If you could beat the Clippers at home, you assume you can do that 3 times and steal a game on the road in the playoffs, So, it's more of a confidence booster if you could beat this team at home. But I agree with you. That's actually my matchup of the weekend is LA at Denver. I think you're also going to see a lot of what Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, see how much they have gelled, recently since the start of the season. Now that, we're past Christmas, they always say that's really the start of the NBA season. We're heading into the, heading towards the All-Star break. This is going to tell you a lot where your team stands and where you guys need to improve going after the All-Star break as well. Another matchup that I'm kind of interested is Milwaukee at Portland on Saturday night at 10 p.m. out there in the West Coast. I just like Damian Lillard. I think Portland has a solid base there. They're just missing those key role players. To really take them over the hump to make them a title contender. But it's always entertaining watching Giannis. Uh, he always gives you a great game. So that's another matchup that I really like.
Yeah, it's going to be, again, the NBA season. It's in full swing right now. Obviously, you've got the All-Star break coming up in February, so teams are going to start dialing in, trying to push for the playoffs as the coming months come. But it's going to be a fun NBA season. A lot of things happening. The Warriors not as good as we thought, obviously, with all the injuries, but Steph is apparently shooting and should be coming back soon, so who knows if they can maybe make a little run too. We'll kind of see what happens. So what else do we have going on? We kind of talked about the NFL.
Man, we got a big matchup in college basketball happening this weekend. We got number 4 Baylor going to the number 3 Jayhawks.
Of Kansas. Man. That's going to be a great matchup. It's 1 p.m. on CBS. If you're not doing anything Saturday afternoon, definitely watch that game. You're going to see a great basketball game. If you're in the Big Ten country, you can watch Ohio State at Indiana. That's going to be a great game. If you're a UK fan, which I hope you're not, you can watch them take on Alabama at home at Rupp. Let's rep our UC Bearcats. We're traveling down to Florida to face UCF. That's good. That should be a great conference matchup for the Bearcats. Hopefully, they come away with a win. They need to start building their resume for the tournament. Right now, Core. That's what I'm looking at for UC. Yeah, they obviously have lost a couple games. They've won some that they're that they're supposed to. And I really think the Bearcats will make a push, will make it to March, and we'll kind of see really how good this team is. I'm not quite sold, but I think there are some, there's some other interesting matchups in college basketball.
Yeah, man, we got Wisconsin at Penn State this weekend. If another Big Ten matchup. Wisconsin just pulled an upset against Ohio State, so can they pull up an upset going into Happy Valley? That's going to be a really good matchup, if you ask me. A lower matchup here, you got Creighton going to the other team here in Cincinnati, Xavier. I think Creighton's going to come away with that. They're not going to be distracted. We all know Xavier girls are ugly, so.
I think Xavier is a really good team.
Yeah, they are.
I don't.
All jokes aside,
they're a really good basketball team. As much as I dislike them, I give respect to them. They always are playing their best basketball towards the end of the season. Again, I'm gonna pick Creighton, but.
Well, yeah, Xavier girls are ugly.
But. Xavier is a really good team.
Oh, yeah. They're a great team, all jokes aside again. A big ACC matchup happening at 4 p.m. on ESPN. You're definitely going to want to check this game out. Is the Cuse. Cuse going to Virginia. I really like that matchup. 2 historic programs in basketball, or not historic for Virginia, but historic program in Syracuse. I like it. I like that matchup. I think Syracuse could possibly pull an upset there, but it's always hard to win in Virginia, especially recently, with the runs and the tournaments that they've had.
Again, college basketball is just getting in the full swing. It's going to be a fun ride, and I'm really looking forward to it. Any other games you've got on your plate that you want to talk about?
Oh yeah, watch this team. If you're a bracketologist, if you like to think you're a bracketologist, team to watch out for come March. Watch this game, Georgia versus Auburn. Auburn's a great coach team. Bruce Pearl knows what he's doing. They're phenomenally coached. They got great talent. They know how to score the basketball. They're on at 6 p.m. right after the 4 o'clock ESPN game. You got to check them out. Another big top 25 matchup we have here, Core. We got Texas Tech at West Virginia. I like to walk with hugs. So, I like West Virginia basketball. They're great. Again, Bobby Huggins knows what he's doing on the court. Uh, I got to take West Virginia in that matchup, if you ask me. If I'm a betting
Always,
man on
always.
ESPN2, 6 p.m., I'm betting on Bob Huggins. We got a few more here, I think. Number 2, Duke in a big ACC matchup on the ACC network against Wake Forest. You slip it in the ACC, man. That comes in that ACC tournament. You definitely want that number 1 seed, so you get those buys. So, Duke definitely has to play their game, and not choke up like they did earlier in the season. You got another Big 12 matchup, Kansas State, Texas. For your Big 12 fans. Another game that's on ESPN3 if you have it. The Trace, Boise State taking on number 7 San Diego State. Watch that game as well if you got that network. And then on the Pac-12 network, you got Oregon facing Arizona. That should be a great matchup as well. Arizona State, sorry, not just Arizona, but Arizona State. Watch that game again. Like I said, if you're a bracketologist, if you're a bracketologist or you like to think you're one, watch some of these early games because this is going to really tell you a lot about these teams and get you that knowledge for March. So that's what we got in college basketball core. Anything else that's coming out this weekend?
There's a lot of UFC preliminary fights this weekend as well, getting ready to try to so they can fill out that main event card that's coming up in the next couple of weeks, which we will talk about with Conor McGregor. But other than that, it's going to be a fun weekend in sports. Upcoming week you've got just things to look forward to. You've got baseball free agency has kind of started. You've got teams looking to trades, everything.
And speaking of free agency, man, they're already talking NFL free agency. Where's Tom Brady going? What's going to be going on with Drew Brees? Both of them are out of contracts. Could we see them in new uniforms? Rumors, not rumors, just stuff that people talk about on Facebook that I've seen is, what if Josh McDaniels comes to Cleveland and brings Tom Brady with him? Oh, that would be awesome. Let me tell you something. I don't think Robert Kraft is letting Tom Brady leave, and he ain't going to play a game outside of a Patriots uniform. If you're a hockey fan, we got Arizona going to Carolina 7:30. They're on the ESPN Plus network. A lot of these games are on RSN or ESPN Plus, not really heavily televised for hockey yet, just because you got everything else going on. You got football going on, you got college basketball, you got the NBA. So a lot of these games aren't televised, but you do got the Lightning on Saturday going to Philadelphia. Stream that one. That should be a good matchup. You got the Blue Jackets heading out to Vegas, 10 p.m. That would be a good one. Sunday, you got Nashville heading to Winnipeg, home of Y2J Chris Jericho. So check out that game. Then you got on Sunday the Lightning heading out to New Jersey for a game. So if you're a hockey fan, check out those games. I know we got a lot of Penguins fans out there. So they're taking on Arizona at 6 p.m. on ESPN Plus on Sunday. So check them out as well. But I'll tell you one thing, Core, what I am looking forward to outside of typical sports, NHL, NBA. And basketball. I'm really looking forward to these UFC prelim fights leading up to the McGregor fight. That's just gonna be that's gonna be something special to watch. See who rises in the rankings, who's next in line.
Yeah, again, it's gonna be something. It's gonna be a fun weekend again in sports, and I'm really looking forward to it. So moving on to our shout outs here, Nick. Who you got this week?
You go first.
All right. So my shout out is, I'm going to stay local here, and I'm going to give a shout out to the Reds front office, the Cincinnati Reds baseball front office here. There was one target they had on their mind that they wanted, and they secured outfielder Shogo Akiyama, who they signed him to a 3-year deal to come over from Japan. Young superstar, should be a stud. They signed him for 3 years, $21 million, bring him to Cincinnati. Strong hitter, great outfielder. I love the hire. I love the, go out and get him. He was your number one. Also there are talks that we also still need a shortstop here, and there's talks that we might go out and reach the Dodgers for Corey Seager. They're also in trade talks with the Indians. Your team. They're in trade talks for
Lindor.
Francisco Lindor. So I really like what the Reds front office is doing. I'm giving a shout out to them. Keep it up. Let's build this team up. Let's build this team around the city. Get a following. People will go to the games. Let's get this team in the playoffs and make a run. So shout out to the front office for the Cincinnati Reds this week.
Definitely. And you know what? I just want to piggyback off that for a second, Core. Before I give my shout out, what I like about that is you're finally seeing a small market team, if you will. Because your big markets, quote unquote, are L.A., New York, Chicago. So it's kind of nice to see a small market team, if you will, make these moves, trying to put a winning team here back in Cincinnati. So, I just, wanted to say that. Now, my shout out is something that just went final a few moments ago. Baylor beating the the Baylor women Bears beating the UConn women Huskies 74-58, handing Gino Auriemma his first loss at home in 98 games. So shout out to you, Baylor. You handled business going into a tough environment in women's basketball against the GOAT of coaches. I don't care what the GOAT of coaches in basketball. I don't care if you're male or female. What he's done at UConn is unmatched, even going back to Wooden's days in UCLA. So just shout out to you, Baylor. Keep doing what you guys are doing, and hopefully we see this matchup again in March. So that's my shout out for this week, Core. Anything else you got going on your mind? Anything else you want to talk about?
I don't. That's all I've got.
All right. Well, I just want to say, don't forget to listen to our sister podcast, the OHIO podcast, for all your Buckeye needs. You can hear me talk a little more about Buckeye basketball with Buckeye Boggs over there. So don't check them out.
And also don't forget to catch us every Friday on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and iHeartRadio, and Spotify, or wherever else you get your podcast needs. All you have to do is search 513 Sports Attack. Also, please check out our Facebook page and Instagram page at 513 Sports Attack. And if you have any questions for us, or would like any topics for us to tackle, please email us at the 513sportsattack@gmail.com.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening, and catch us next time.